A young woman introduces her black boyfriend to her parents, who immediately reject him, insulting and humiliating him because of his skin color. But then the daughter does this. From a young age, Andrew always showed a special talent for technology. Growing up in a humble neighborhood, he had few resources, but his creativity and determination were unwavering. While other children played in the street, Andrew preferred to dismantle old radios and repurpose parts from broken devices to create small inventions. His curiosity seemed limitless, and he spent hours studying alone in libraries, where he learned to program and understand basic electronics. It was this entrepreneurial and passionate spirit that led him to dream big, even when the reality around him offered few opportunities. In his teenage years, Andrew began to draw attention for his practical skills. He was the neighborhood fix-it guy, and people would turn to him to repair televisions, phones, and household appliances. To many, he was just a talented boy. To Andrew, this was only the beginning of something bigger. When he earned a scholarship to a local university, it was a celebration for his family and neighbors. The scholarship was not only an opportunity for learning, but also an entry into a new world where he could turn his ideas into real projects. The university was where Andrew could finally explore his potential more concretely. He met classmates who shared his passion for technology, and together they began discussing innovative ideas. It was during one of these meetings that the concept of an app to control air conditioning units via smartphones came up. The idea was ambitious, but Andrew and his new friends believed in it from the start. With a lot of dedication and sleepless nights, the app took shape and soon began to gain attention in the market. The growth of the project was rapid and surprising. The app stood out for its practicality and the fact that it worked with different brands, eliminating the need for physical remotes. This made it an accessible and highly sought-after solution for many consumers. Andrew, now with his own startup, was starting to be recognized in the tech world as a promising and visionary young man. His talent and effort were finally turning into success. It was during this period of rise that Andrew met Amy. She was a charming young woman, the daughter of local business owners, and stood out for her determination and intelligence. Amy was involved in social projects at the university and always showed a unique sensitivity to issues of inequality and injustice. Andrew and Amy quickly grew close, and the passion between them blossomed naturally. Their connection was strong, based on shared interests, mutual admiration, and a genuine love that seemed to overcome any barrier. It was a Saturday afternoon, and Andrew and Amy were sitting at a quiet cafe near the university campus. The breeze was soft, but there was tension in the air. Amy looked at Andrew expectantly, as if she was ready to share something important. "I need to tell you something, Andrew," said Amy with a slight smile. "I want you to meet my parents." Andrew hesitated for a moment, looking away. "Your parents?" he asked, trying to hide his discomfort. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" Amy smiled again, this time more confidently. "Yes, of course. They're nice, polite people, and they'll love meeting you. They've always been very respectful to all of my friends." Andrew remained skeptical, stirring his coffee with a spoon, as if trying to find courage at the bottom of the cup. "I don't know, Amy. I have some doubts about how this might end. We both know how some families are, especially with people like me." Amy shook her head, determined. "My parents aren't like that, Andrew. They've always taught me to respect everyone, regardless of color or class. And besides, I really want them to see the amazing man you are." There was a heavy silence between them as Andrew pondered the proposal. He felt the weight of his past experiences, the closed doors, the suspicious looks, and the veiled insults. But Amy's gaze was sincere, almost pleading. "All right," he finally said, letting out a deep sigh. "I'll meet them, but I can't promise it'll be easy for me." Amy smiled brightly. Thank you, Andrew. I know it'll work out. A few days later, the meeting was arranged for a dinner at Amy's parents' house. That night, Andrew dressed as best as he could, in a dress shirt and a determined but nervous smile. Amy waited for him in front of her house, excited and confident. "Are you ready?" she asked, taking his hand. "Ready is a strong word," Andrew replied, half joking, half serious. "But I'm here." The two walked hand in hand to the front door. When it opened, Amy's parents, a middle-aged couple with formal expressions, greeted them with fake smiles and quickly changing glances when they saw Andrew. Amy's father, Jeffrey, extended his hand mechanically. "Oh, so you're Andrew," he said, his tone revealing his distrust. "Yes, sir," Andrew replied, trying to remain polite. "It's a pleasure to meet you." "Pleasure is an interesting word," murmured Amy's mother, Donna, as she looked Andrew up and down as if evaluating him. They headed to the dining room, where a lavish table had been set. Amy tried to keep the atmosphere light by talking about Andrew's app and the growth of his startup. "So, Andrew, you said the app already has over 50,000 users, right?" Amy asked, smiling at him. Andrew nodded proudly. "Yes, we're in a good growth phase. The acceptance has been great, especially because of the convenience of controlling the air conditioning from a phone without needing a remote." Donna, Amy's mother, raised an eyebrow, trying to appear interested. "Interesting. I never imagined something like that would be so useful, especially created by someone who, well, came from where you came from." Amy frowned. "Mom, Andrew worked really hard to get to this point. Where he's from doesn't change the value of his achievements." Donna just gave a slight smile. "Yes, of course, dear. I just find it curious how someone who grew up in the slums can understand technology so well. It's really surprising, actually." "It's not about where I came from," Andrew said, trying to keep his tone polite, but already feeling the tension rising. "It's about effort, dedication, and passion for what I do." Jeffrey, Amy's father, seized the opportunity to insert his opinion. "I always say it's important to know our place, Andrew. The world is divided by merit, but also by limits, you know. And sometimes some people end up trying to go beyond what they're entitled to." Andrew felt the discomfort of Jeffrey's words, but tried to respond calmly. "I respect your opinion, sir, but I believe everyone has the right to fight for their dreams, regardless of color, class, or origin." Donna chuckled softly, in a condescending manner. "Oh, how nice, Andrew, but let's be honest. How many people like you actually make it? One or two, maybe. The rest, well, we all know how it ends." Amy tried to interrupt. "Mom, please, enough. Andrew is here as my guest. He doesn't deserve to be treated like this." Jeffrey ignored his daughter and continued provocatively. "And this talk about meritocracy, Andrew. Do you really think it's possible to make things equal? Don't take offense, but every time I see someone like you, a little black guy trying to stand out, I can't help but think, how long before he falls back to where he belongs?" Andrew took a deep breath, feeling his blood boil, but he responded firmly. "I'm not going to stop rising just because some people think my place is at the bottom, sir. I've faced many obstacles, and I'm not going to quit because of prejudice." Donna leaned forward with a cold look in her eyes. "You're a brave young man, Andrew, I admit, but Amy has a bright future ahead, and I don't think she should mix with someone of dark skin. It could be dangerous for her and for our reputation." Amy was furious, banging her hand on the table. "This is racism, Mom. Are you hearing what you're saying? It's disgusting." Jeffrey laughed, unconcerned. "Racism? Amy, don't be naive. We're just being practical. Someone like Andrew, besides being a monkey in the midst of lions, needs to understand that he can't expect to be accepted everywhere." Andrew could no longer contain his anger and humiliation. "I've heard a lot in my life, but I never imagined I'd find so much hatred in a house that claims to respect everyone." Donna just shook her head. This is what happens when you give too many opportunities to people who never should have left the slums. They start thinking they're the same as us. Amy was crying, trying to get her parents to stop. Stop! You're crossing the line. You're hurting Andrew in a way I'll never forgive. But Jeffrey didn't stop. Dear, you don't understand. He's just a little black guy trying to take advantage of a rich white girl like you. He's only interested in what he can get, not in you for real. Andrew stood up, his eyes filled with tears, his voice trembling with pain and outrage. I can't believe people like you still exist. I'm leaving. Amy ran to him, trying to hold his arm. Andrew, no! Please forgive me for all this. I didn't know they'd be so cruel. Andrew looked at her with a mixture of love and pain in his eyes. It's not your fault, Amy, but I can't continue with you while your parents hold these views. With a broken heart, he ran out of the house, feeling the tears mix with the cold night air. Amy ran desperately after Andrew, her heart racing not just from the run, but from the fear of losing him forever. Andrew, wait. Please don't leave like this. She nearly tripped as she caught up to him, grabbing his arm with tears streaming down her face. Andrew stopped, reluctant, his expression marked by pain and disappointment. Amy, you saw what happened in there. I can't just ignore what your parents said. This is more than a personal insult. It's about everything I've faced in life. Amy sobbed, trying to control her tears. I know, Andrew, I know. And I'm so sorry. I never imagined they could be so cruel. You're everything I've ever wanted, and I can't lose you because of their racism. Andrew looked at her with a deep sadness. Amy, you know how much I love you, but I can't live knowing that your family sees me as an enemy, as someone inferior. This isn't just about us. It's about all the pain that this attitude represents. Amy held his hands, a mix of determination and desperation. Then let's run away together. Let's live somewhere where no one can separate us or judge us because of your skin color. Andrew seemed shocked by the proposal, but at the same time, he saw in Amy's eyes an overwhelming sincerity. Are you really willing to abandon everything your entire life for me? This isn't a simple decision, Amy. Amy nodded firmly, wiping her tears. Yes, I am. If it means being with you, living in a place where I can love whoever I want, without the weight of their expectations, then I'm more than ready. I'd rather live a simple and true life than a life of lies and hypocrisy. The decision seemed final to her, but Andrew still hesitated. Amy, I want to believe that, but I don't want you to regret it later. Leaving home is a big thing. You can't go back once you've done it. Amy looked deep into his eyes, her voice filled with conviction. Andrew, the only thing I could regret is not trying to live this love. I'm ready to face whatever comes, even if it means going against my parents. After a long pause, Andrew sighed and hugged her tightly. All right, Amy. If you're really ready for this, then I am too. Let's start a new life together, away from all this hate. That same night, Amy went home and went straight inside, her face still marked by tears, her heart filled with pain and anger. Her parents were in the living room, sitting on the couch, waiting for her. The inquisitive looks quickly turned into questioning. Amy, what happened? Donna asked, getting up and walking toward her daughter. Why did you run after that guy? Amy stopped in the middle of the living room, her eyes burning with indignation. Why? Do you really have the nerve to ask me why I did that, after everything you said to Andrew today? Jeffrey also got up, trying to maintain authority. Amy, we were just speaking the truth. We tried to protect you from a rash decision. Protect? This is protection? Amy shouted, a mix of anger and disappointment in her voice. You spent my whole life teaching me to treat everyone with respect, talking to me about justice and equality. But today, you showed me it was all a lie. You're racist, and that disgusts me. Donna seemed offended, crossing her arms. How dare you speak to us like this, Amy? We did our best to raise you, to give you a life of privileges and education. Amy shook her head, almost laughing with irony. Privileges and education? Do you really think you can justify this kind of disgusting prejudice? You humiliated Andrew in a way I never imagined you could do to anyone, let alone someone I love. Jeffrey tried to argue, but with a colder tone. Amy, you're young, confused. You don't understand what's at stake here. It's not about racism, it's about your future. Someone like him will never give you the life you deserve. Ooh, you really think that's all there is? That the value of a person is measured by money or skin color? Amy snapped back, her eyes full of tears. If that's how you think, then we have nothing more to discuss. With those words, Amy turned and went upstairs to her room. There, she began gathering her clothes and packing them into a backpack, her hands still trembling with anger. Donna and Jeffrey, alarmed, went upstairs after her and knocked on the open bedroom door. "Amy, what are you doing?" Donna asked, her voice filled with panic. Amy kept packing, not looking back. "I'm leaving." Jeffrey approached her, trying to appear calm, but with an authoritative tone. "Don't be absurd, Amy. You can't just leave because of a guy you've known for a few months." Amy stopped, turned to face them, and said firmly, "It's not just for him, it's for everything you represent. I can't live with people like you, who think that someone's skin color is a criteria for defining who deserves respect or not." Donna cried, trying to appeal to her emotional side. "Amy, we're your parents. Everything we did was out of love, to protect you from suffering." "Suffering?" Amy shouted, now with anguish in her voice. "You're not protecting me from anything. You're pushing me into a world of hatred and discrimination, and I won't be an accomplice to that. I'd rather live on the streets than accept this kind of thinking in my life." Jeffrey tried to be more persuasive, putting his hand on Amy's shoulder. "Daughter, you're making a mistake. Life out there isn't easy, especially next to someone like him. You'll regret it." But Amy shrugged off his touch. "I don't care if it's going to be hard. What matters is that I'll live with integrity, knowing I'm with someone who truly loves me without prejudice." Donna, now desperate, tried to block the door to the room. "Amy, please think about this. You won't be able to live without the comfort you have here, without our support." Amy just looked at her parents, her face hard and determined. "I don't need comfort if it comes at such a high price. What I need is dignity, and I no longer have that here with you." Donna and Jeffrey stood there in silence, watching their daughter finish packing the backpack and head for the door. "Don't try to stop me," she said before leaving the room, "because no matter what you do or say, I've already made my decision." She quickly went down the stairs, crossed the living room without looking back, and walked out the front door, feeling the night breeze on her face. Outside, Andrew was waiting for her, his eyes still filled with sadness, but also hope. "You really came," he said, almost disbelieving. Amy grabbed his hand tightly. "I came, and I won't go back." In the months following Amy's departure, Donna and Jeffrey made numerous attempts to convince her to return home. They called every day, sent messages, and even showed up unexpectedly at the small apartment where she and Andrew had settled. But Amy, firm in her decision, refused all attempts at reconciliation. "I can't go back to a home that rejects love and respect," she would always say when her parents tried to appeal to her emotions. "Amy, you don't have to live like this," Donna begged on the phone, her voice heavy with tears. "This life isn't for you. You deserve more." But Amy responded calmly, "I do deserve more, Mom. I deserve to live in peace by someone who truly loves me and without racism." After many failed attempts, Donna and Jeffrey stopped insisting. The silence between them became the new normal, with a feeling of abandonment. Amy, for her part, dedicated herself to building a new life with Andrew. They faced many challenges, from financial struggles to prejudiced looks, but the love and strength they had for each other seemed to overcome everything. Meanwhile, Andrew's startup flourished. He secured new investments, and the app gained traction in the market. One sunny morning, he returned home with a triumphant smile. "Amy, we got another investor. Our startup is expanding to other cities now," he announced, barely containing his joy. Amy hugged him tightly, pride evident in her eyes. "I knew you could do it, Andrew. I've always known you were capable of incredible things." However, while Amy and Andrew's life thrived, her parents' packaging business started facing financial difficulties. A crisis in the sector and bad investment decisions led to failed businesses, and the situation quickly worsened. Jeffrey, with no alternatives, felt the need to approach Amy in a different manner, this time more humbly. One day, when Amy was leaving the startup office, she saw a familiar car parked outside. It was her father, waiting for her on the sidewalk. "Amy, can we talk?" Jeffrey asked, with a dejected expression. Amy hesitated but agreed. "What do you want to talk about, Dad?" Jeffrey took a deep breath, looking more vulnerable than ever. "I know I was wrong. We were wrong, your mum and I. But I'd like a chance to make things right." Amy crossed her arms, her eyes still cautious. "Why now, Dad? Why only after you're in financial trouble?" Jeffrey shook his head, looking defeated. "It's not just because of that, Amy. We realize we don't have you with us anymore, and that's an unbearable void." "You created that void, Dad. You chose it when you humiliated Andrew like that," Amy replied, keeping her tone firm but with a trace of pain. "I know," admitted Jeffrey, his eyes misty. "I know we were monstrous, but not a day goes by that I don't regret what I said. Andrew is a good man, and you're right to love him. I see that now, even if it's too late." Amy was silent for a few seconds, her father's words finally reflecting a true sense of remorse. "But Dad, I can't just forget everything that happened. I can't ignore how much Andrew suffered, how much you made me suffer too." "I understand, Amy, and I don't expect forgiveness right away, but I want to try to be a better person. I'm willing to accept Andrew if he gives us a chance," said Jeffrey sincerely. Amy sighed deeply, feeling a mix of anger, pain, and cautious hope. "You need to apologize to Andrew, Dad. And not just for what you said, but for what you represent." Jeffrey nodded, understanding the requirement. "We'll try, daughter. That's all we can do now." That night, Amy spoke to Andrew about the meeting. "They want to try to make things right, Andrew. I don't know if it's the start of something new or just another attempt to get close because of their interests." Andrew looked at her thoughtful. "I don't expect them to accept me overnight, Amy. But if there's true remorse, maybe we can start over, at least for your sake." Amy's parents, now more humble, met with the couple at a cafe the following week. Donna was visibly emotional, and Jeffrey had a remorseful look on his face. "Andrew, we're here to apologize, sincerely. We don't expect you to forgive us, but we want you to know that we're willing to change, to try to be different." Andrew stayed silent for a long moment, observing their sincere expressions. "I can't erase what happened, and it will always be a scar for me. But if you really want to change, we can try to build a new type of relationship without grudges." Donna started crying, and Jeffrey lowered his head, emotional. "Thank you, Andrew. This is more than we deserve." Amy, seeing the scene, felt a relief mixed with caution. "This is a start," she said, holding Andrew's hand. "But the road will be long, and we need time." The reconciliation was slow, but Amy and Andrew's life continued to strengthen, now with a new layer of understanding. They knew it wouldn't be easy to forget the past, but they were determined to create a future where love was stronger than hate. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, give it a like, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. See you in the next story.